Hi, I'm Frieda Watt, the author of The Displaced, Fall of a Fortress. I'm here to introduce my debut novel to you here in the Fortress of Louisbourg in Cape Breton Island. If you've never been here, you really need to come. It's a National Historic Site in Canada. A quarter of it has been rebuilt, and they have actors in costumes walking around telling you what life was like, answering all your questions. They fire guns, they fire muskets, and it really helps propel you back into the middle of the 18th century. The story's main protagonist is Marie Levesque, who is an orphan living on the island with her aunt and uncle and twin brother. Marie is almost too independent for the time period that she lives in. She's not excited about the fact that she can only work within the church or, spend her life raising kids. It's difficult to figure out where she fits in this new fabric of society that is being created. Her love interest is Pierre Thibault. Neither of them are really sure what to make of their relationship. Are they just friends? Is there something more to it? They have to do a lot of growing and maturing before they're able to kind of come to those decisions on their own. And as much as the love story is the main component, it is not everything. There is two wars going on. These were incredibly violent times. These were very unstable times where countries were taken over and then they were given back, where you could march into a country and declare it yours and just get rid of everybody who ever lived there. People who had lived there for centuries, you could just kick them out. So nobody really knows what's going to happen with their life, where they are, what's going to be happening tomorrow. Will there be food? Will I be alive? What kind of a future can I have? And I have always been surprised that people who lived through the world wars or Vietnam, they look back on it as just being part of their life, and they still got married and they still had kids, and people were born and died and went to school and got educations and worked at jobs. During extraordinary times, people still live a regular life because it's the only one they have, and so they just keep going despite the awful circumstances that are surrounding them. The first time I came to the fortress, I found it very romantic, and I fell in love with it. I still find romance here when I come. Obviously, it was a very violent place. It smelled. It was, they had outbreaks of the smallpox. But one of the things I'm hoping in my book is that readers will be able to step into the 18th century and see the beauty of this place, to be able to hear the ocean waves crashing against the rocks, to feel the breeze in their face, to walk the dusty streets, to hear the cannons and the musket fire, to hear the seagulls, to hear the livestock and the busy, bustling life that was the busiest port in the French East Coast, and that you can be able to appreciate the cod, the smell of cod drying and salting, because that was what kept this place going. This place was a fisherman's village. First and foremost, people came from all over the world, and the cod went all over the world, and part of the reason this place was so big and was so expensive was to protect the French interests in the fishing industry. It was also built as a reminder to the rest of the world that despite having lost New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and mainland Nova Scotia, that the French still existed here on the St. Lawrence. A major theme in the story is the uncertainty that war propels you into. Life is unpredictable and messy, but when you throw in wars and clashes of empires and people trying to push their own agendas without really worrying about all the little people, it can be incredibly difficult to live when you don't know where your next meal's coming, you don't know if you will be alive, you don't know if your home or your country is still going to exist, which is a really pressing issue in today as well as in times gone past. This is definitely a story that goes in directions that you do not expect it to. Even those who know the history and know what became of the fortress are not always going to know what happens in the next page turn.
Right hand here, left hand in the sweet spot, bring it to your shoulder, pull the hammer back, and at the count of 3, pull the trigger as hard as you can. 1, 2, 3. Beauty. And you kept it up. You can do it now. Excellent.